baby Drew. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute.
So to answer your question, yeah, it was some things that I saw from her that I was just like, okay, I see why you struggling in your marriage and you're going through whatever and you're trying to get with Kenya. I get it. It all made sense. Let's just put it that way.
It all makes a sense. Okay. Now, speaking of marriage, obviously on the show, your marriage is
Yeah.
on display, some good, some
Yeah.
bad. First of all, what made you want to show people that? Because when I watched, I was like, ooh, I wouldn't be brave enough to put all my shit on Front Street like that. So what made you want to
Yeah.
share the pits, the highs? Because obviously when people are watching, they have an opinion about your marriage and they ain't in it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't plan that. So I was kind of like, can we rewind it? Oh no, this isn't I'm not here acting, because I'm used to a director and cut and whatever. No, this was like not at all what I wanted to share. But I did want to be vulnerable and be honest and open. And that was just really what was going on at that time. So it just forced us to have to deal with issues that we have been dealing with and putting on the back burner for a while. And it happened. And I was embarrassed at first because I was just like,
mm,
I can't even believe that he's acting like this. Like, I really thought that he was just going to say what I wanted to hear because the cameras were there. Like,
right.
baby, I was, and I'm sorry. And we could have wrapped that thing on up.
And they left,
But
right.
he didn't. And I was just like, that's why I walked away because I was like, you're not going to embarrass me. But it did bring a lot of things to light that I was just
Mm,
like, we can't keep going down this road. It's like when you start arguing in front of your kids, when you start arguing in public, when you argue
mm,
in front of millions of people, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like that's when you know that you have real issues that you need to work on and address. And so I was really sad. I was like distraught about it. But what it forced us to do is to own our issues and get into
Mm,
counseling, which has really, really helped a lot. And I'm not going to say everything is perfect. I can be honest in that, but I love my husband and I know he loves me and we are committed to marriage. And so what I'm learning about marriage is it's not like the Cinderella story that we all
mhm.
like happily ever after and then where do they go? Like we never got that as little girls. Like what happens after happily ever after? That's
Yeah.
not real, y'all. Marriage is, and my parents been married for 58 years. Like marriage is about fighting, arguing, growing, getting to know yourself, not even
Mm,
just him, but there may be some things about me that I don't know and that I need to work on. And that's the
mm,
beautiful part about marriage is that neither of us are perfect. And we are willing to be open to working on our individual selves as well as us collectively. And I am excited because he's here. He's here and he's committed. So
right.
we are doing the work. So that's the blessing in
Well, and speaking of the work child, when y'all dropped that ode to Gabrielle Union and the way I
it.
let me tell you something, Drew. Let me tell you something real quick. You and your husband fine as hell. Fine as hell. Like as a couple, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. And you already know how it is. Like the little things that men can do to get your attention. Don't get it twisted because you're married and it's like you love and we got kids. No, it's the little things like men have a 6 pack, have an 8 pack. Sometimes turn that good Usher song on, turn the lights down low, light some
Mm-hmm.
candles, and us as women, it's gonna be all good. Like we will be back open. So I'm a woman like everybody else. I love to date. I love to be made to feel pretty. I love a man that's going to just love on me. And that's what my husband did. And I was like, oh, let me share this with everybody so they understand why I'm here and ready to work
And
this thing on
was
out.
good. Well, be clear. All the other ladies seem to confirm how fine your husband was. Okay.
Well, I'll take it, ladies. Like let your girl know. Like, I'm not crazy. I love my husband. There's a lot of great things about him, as all y'all all can now agree. And I'm just happy for everybody to like get to know him more on this journey because he does. He's very layered. I'll say that. He's very layered.
Yeah, as we all
Yeah.
are. And I think
Yeah.
also, just talking to other reality stars, I realized that like we make judgments off of what's presented to us, right? So like,
Yeah.
yes, we do see the drama because that's what makes a housewife show, but oftentimes we're not enamored by the good parts, right? We're not
Yeah.
always invested in Drew and Ralph doing well. Like that
Yeah.
doesn't always get people interested in a show. So I do think that everyone take with a grain of salt the things we watch. Although it is real, as you have
Yeah.
confirmed,
Yeah.
there it's a marriage, and we watch
Yeah.
even other housewives. Look at Karen. We saw Karen and Ray this year, and at the reunion, which was like almost a year later, they were like, "We're doing well." So
Yes.
it's
There's
all
hope.
about perspective.
It's perspective. There's hope. And I'll be honest with you, like after I got married and I had my children, which I love so much, it was really hard for me because I wasn't working and I had gained weight. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, my father has Alzheimer's. And it was really hard for me, like to deal with that
Mhm.
emotionally. And it was like, all right, I'm not me. I'm not acting. I'm not living my full self, and it was depressing, like for me to lose myself in that way because I've been
Mhm.
super independent. Like you said, I've been doing this since I was 8 years old. So for me, it was like a shot and blow to my confidence level. And there were things that you guys didn't get to see just years ago, in my marriage
Right.
early on, that kind of put me in a depression state. And it was for me to get my mental health back together. And so what you're seeing is remnants of my husband and I dealing with a lot of things over the years. Our marriage wasn't perfect. So it was all of that and it just exploded. And then too, the pandemic did not help. My
Yeah.
mom living with us. Y'all see my mama and me having surgeries. It was a lot. And so my
Mhm.
husband said he reached a breaking point. And so like you said, it's about perspective. And a lot of people don't know all that we go through. And that's why I'm here just like sharing. Like my life has not been perfect. And I'm just here being very vulnerable with everybody to let you know, like, you can get on the other side. But we're on this journey together because we're not there yet. But I'm prayerful that we'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I actually read this article the other day about when you had your babies, you were going on auditions actually for Nicki Minaj's thing on ABC. And
Yeah.
she had commented about the fact that you did not look the same way you did when you played T-Boz in the TLC movie. So walk me through that situation. And then on top of that, like really how that made you feel, because obviously you can say you're on the other side of it, right? Like you've had the baby, you've lost a little weight, you feel a little bit
I'm a
more
flip.
intact. But you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, walk me through that situation, because when I read that, I could only imagine the blow it felt at that time.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's moments in life that kind of like hit you or an epiphany or
Hmm.
just awaken you. You become woke. Like
Right.
that was that moment where I was walking around like, I got it all together. I'm good,
Mm.
and I'm ready to get back to work. And when I walked in that room, I went through like 5 rounds. They were like, you're a phenomenal actress. They kept bringing me back. So when I got in front of Nikki, it had been narrowed down to just a few girls. So I was very confident. I was like, oh, I got this. And when Nikki was like, she started saying how much she loved me, but I didn't look the same. And I was just like, well, yeah, I just had a baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we had this real moment outside of just Hollywood. It was like, sis, you don't look like yourself. And at that time, I was like, well, I can
Mm.
lose weight. I'm a professional. This is what I do. And when I left there, they called me back. The executives were like, we love you. She loves you. It's just, your weight. And we want to bring you back
Mm.
if you can lose weight. And that's when I was just like, all right, you can get mad. You can beat yourself up, which I'm not going to lie, I cried. I was like, damn, that
Yeah.
was a
Right.
blow.
Right.
Like, you think you cute and then somebody tell you basically you fat. And I'm like, damn, am I
Story of my
fat? I
life. I
didn't
know,
know.
sis.
Right. So I was just like, so I myself had to, I don't need no, so that's the thing about me. I really don't need people to tell me about myself. But if you
Hmm.
do it to my face, I will always self-reflect and be like, not that we body shame, not that I
Hmm.
need to be stick skinny, but I do need to be healthy, not only for
Right.
me, but for my kids. If I'm
Hmm.
like low energy, why not get in the gym and do what I can to get back to me? And that was the moment
Hmm.
like, you know what? I'm not really back to me, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally,
Mm.
spiritually. So that was the journey. And I really look up to Nikki. Like that was a moment that got me back on track. Like, sis, she said it. And maybe you need to be real with yourself. And I got a membership like that day. And I've been on the journey of weight loss. And I appreciate people for their honesty. I really took that with a grain of salt and was like, let me be real, and let's get on this weight loss journey. And after that, I started working. I started booking again. And yeah, that moment is something that had an impact on me. That's why I shared it. So
Do you think that you suffered from postpartum?
I definitely did. I went through counseling. So during that period, I ended up getting a counselor for myself. So even though my husband and I were having issues, I was like, let me work on me. And when I got into counseling, she basically diagnosed me and said I have suffered from postpartum, and I didn't even know. So that was
I think
real.
a lot of Black women suffer with it more than we talk about, obviously. But
Yeah,
I think that, as Black women, we know the weight and the pressure of feeling like we have to have it all together. And then you're a mom on top of that, right? So you're trying to
absolutely.
tend to your child, you're trying to work, you're trying to keep your
Yeah,
career, you want to still feel like you got it, right? And then
all of
you're
that. Yeah,
suffering mentally, you don't feel like yourself. And I feel like the conversation is not broad enough. That's why I can appreciate women like you, opening up and telling
yeah,
women, because, we have these babies and we're responsible for so much. And then,
yeah.
people do not talk about, it's a dark time. I had a little cousin who had a baby, and she couldn't even describe to me what she was feeling. She just knew it wasn't right. You know what I mean? She knew she
Yep.
wasn't aligned. And
Yeah.
so I have no children. And, when I hear those stories, it mortifies the hell out of me to have them. But,
Yeah. But you
I
get
think
through
it's
it.
important.
You get through it. That's the good thing about it, is that it's up to you to take ownership, to own your junk and really be honest. Nobody wants to look in the mirror and say, I'm not all the way together, or I'm overweight, or I'm not confident. We all want
Right.
to believe, yo, I'm a queen. I'm confident. I'm beautiful,
Yeah.
as you should, but you have to be able to be honest and real with yourself, because if you don't, the world is going to tell you. You know what I'm saying? But then still, at some point, even when they tell you, you have to be able to just say, what am I going to do about it? If you're happy with yourself, be happy with yourself, love and accept yourself. But if there's things that you recognize after self-analyzation, if your marriage isn't going right, I'm gonna be like, well, is it me? I'm not going to just keep blaming him. If I'm not booking and I'm not working, I can't keep saying this everybody else. I got to be like, well, is it me? And I have to do the work to figure that out. And that's a journey. It doesn't happen
Yeah.
overnight. So, but postpartum, I didn't even know. I thought I was great. I thought I was out here being great. And
Right.
sis, I was not. Like, I can be right, I was not. So I got on
Mm.
that journey, and now here I am. I'm happy, I'm whole, and life isn't guaranteed, because then we was in a pandemic. So you got to
Right.
get strong for everything life throws at you. And it's up to you to turn your lemons into lemonade. So that's the motto I live by, period.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I want to jump into your career since we're in that avenue. So you've been in Hollywood
Yeah.
4 years. I mean, listen, you were on one of my favorites, That's a Raven. White Chick, Step It Up, of course, The Game, which is one of your most notorious roles ever.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, how many times a day do you get stopped about The Game?
Girl, people be like, Drew SIDORA, you broke up Melanie and Derwin. I'm like, listen, let's not forget Derwin lied to me. I was a woman that did not know he had a girl. But we've all been there, done that. So I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. But yeah, a lot of people, man, they believe that to be real to this day.
Probably
But
because the
that's
character was like named after you too. It didn't help.
right. I was like, okay, you got to be really big to play yourself, but damn. Like, people was really mad at me.
I will say this though, since The Game did come back out on Netflix, people are reanalyzing the show, and a lot of people say Melanie was a toxic one. People are
See,
saying that.
you got to see it from a different lens. I want to have that conversation with Tia too, because it's like, as women, there's two sides to everything, and it's not that she was wrong or I was wrong. It was just like, hey, we had a dude that wasn't being honest. So
Hmm.
there we have it. But we have the best fans. The Game fans are the most loyal. Let me tell you, diehard fans ever.
Hmm.
So I love it. I love it, and I'm thankful for Mara Brock. Like, she's amazing.
Yeah, and she just signed a new deal with Netflix too, so honey,
Netflix deal.
you could be
Mara,
out there.
Mara,
Holla!
Queen. Holla at your girl.